welcome to another episode of ReRooted Raw, where last week I was a guest and now I'm the host.
I forgot to turn the notifications off.
Yeah.
And then there's this call to prayer.
Yeah.
Came on in the middle of the night, I think at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, subhanallah.
What is
Akbar. And it just woke everyone up. And while people were praying, I was just stepping over them, like, oh God, it's so cringe now thinking about it, man. I come to his house and I'm eating on the floor. He served me an egg and a bit of bread. And he was like, right, and you got to do that. And I'm like, what's this? I've been a Muslim like less than a minute. So I'm just eating and putting a bit of salt on. Like, yeah, it's nice. And it was just weird. And he didn't explain what was going on. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to another episode of ReRooted Raw. And we got with us Chris. How are you, Chris? Assalamu alaikum.
And all good.
Cool. I mean, today we're going to talk about like the experience of a new Muslim and the experience of reverts. We're going to tell a couple of stories of our experiences. I've been a Muslim for 9 years now. So how long have you been a Muslim, Chris?
9 months.
It was like planned. It wasn't planned, I promise. But yeah, so Chris, tell me a little bit about why you accepted Islam and your journey with accepting Islam.
Okay, it goes back probably about 9 years actually. Used to work with Saqib. I've covered this story on a few episodes of ReRooted before. So we used to work together and just got talking, really get to know each other. He taught me a little bit about Islam and there's some concepts within it which I found appealing and interesting. And over the years I just learned more. And I got to the point he was saying to me, Chris, why aren't you taking the shahadah yet? And then I'd come into iERA as well, and all the guys would be saying pretty much the same thing. Like,
oh, wow.
You're clearly interested and open to it, so what's stopping you? So I did another filming job for the guys a few months ago, or 9 months ago. And it's all really organic, but I just took it on.
Wow, so it was almost like you, in your heart, you already knew it was true. You just needed someone to go, do you want to walk through the door?
Pretty much.
Yeah, mashallah.
Gentle nudge.
Wow, subhanallah. So what was your experiences, your first month of being a Muslim? What were your feelings? What were your experiences? What were your worries?
Okay, we'll go worries first. Cause
go for it.
Plenty of them at the time.
Same here.
So yeah, it just seemed like a very alien thing to jump into when you first go. It's very different to what life I've always known, really. And it's contrary to everything that other people I'm growing up with and always surrounded by.
Yeah.
How they live their lives. I feel. But you get over that pretty quickly. It's not that big a deal. And especially if you've got people around you like Saqib and everyone else here, they're able to mentor you and show you the ropes, so to speak.
Cool, man. So you're a bit lucky because you were hanging out of the cream of the crop already. And when you become a Muslim and you had some people to guide you through it. So that's cool, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, my first month, right? So I think I told my story last week, a couple of weeks ago. And if you want to check that out, click there. So I told my story and mine was a weird one because just like you, I knew it was the truth. And I kind of needed that hurdle to accept it. And at the time, I didn't want to accept it. So my first month I was really nervous about those things that Muslims do, like go to the masjid and kind of introduce myself to other Muslims and so on like that. Let me tell you a story, right? When I took my shahadah, what happened was I was going back and forth to this Dawah table and I was talking to the person, getting material, reading it and going back. And I already knew that I wanted to become a Muslim. I was kind of waiting for like the person to kind of invite me. And he did. He said, do you want to become a Muslim? I said, yeah. And then he said, well, I'll tell you what, come to my house tonight. I've got a little like conservatory and Dawah area and things like that. So we went and there was 2 other reverts there. I took my shahadah, got a little certificate and everything. And I was like, oh God, it was like I was really anxious and nervous about it. And then it was like, oh, I've done it now, right, it's done. I've got to tell the missus when I get home, but yeah, I've done it. And then the guy just went, right, we're going to the mosque. I was like, oh, no, like I was like, no, don't worry, I'll just go next week, it's fine. And I was just, so, and when I think back at it, it's because I was really worried about what other people would think about me. Like, whether people would take me seriously as a Muslim. And at the time, bro, I had like the skinniest jeans you ever did see. I wasn't as fat as I was now, and I had like a skinny t-shirt, like a vest on, and my tattoos out. I had like a piercing through my nose and things like that. Yeah, so and it was really awkward. So we're going in the car, and the people in the car were going to whispering to the sheikh that gave me the shahadah. He was like, should we put some clothes on him and stuff? Because I was like, you know, skinny trousers. I didn't look like I should be going to the masjid. It was really good actually, because the sheikh said, no, they should. The community should see that people like him and like the rest of the British people, they're becoming Muslim, and that's normal. I was still so scared. I didn't know how to pray or anything like that. I knew the movements, and that's about it. And it was just scary, man. But what was cool was he paired me up with someone straight away, and he met with me once a day to go to the masjid. So I became familiar with the masjid, and that made me really comfortable. And then I started to kind of like go into the talks that would happen. Like after Salah, they would do a little talk about, you know, a hadith or like verse in the Quran, the tafsir or whatever. And all that time, for about a month, they didn't think I was a Muslim. So I was sat there one day, I went, do you know what, I read a thing, and he said, any questions? It was about something completely different. I went, I read a thing about jinn, like when I was researching Islam. So what's this about the jinn? He told me what the jinn were. And then he said, and he just said, well, the thing is, like, if you were a Muslim, and I was like, I am a Muslim. And I've been going there for a month praying and everything. It's like, it's crazy. But yeah, it was really weird. And one Jummah, right, I went to, the room was, the way out was at the front, but I was at the back. Okay, so you prayed the Jummah Salah, and then everyone started to do Sunnahs prayers, which is like extra prayers that you do voluntary for more reward and getting closer to Allah. But I didn't know about them, and I was like, I've done my thing, what do I do? And I was like, right, I checked the time, I had to go back to work, so I was like, right, I'll go. And while people were praying, I was just stepping over them, like, oh God, it's so cringe now thinking about it, man. And then one guy just went, like that, across my chest, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And it was like Mr. Bean. It was like it should be a sitcom. It's cringe, like awkward moment thing. And then while they were praying, I just crouched down and waited for them to finish. And then when they finished, I said sorry, and the guy wasn't happy. It was like, no, like that sort of attitude. And they went, and I didn't go to that masjid for months after that because of that experience. So it's amazing how one little thing that to most people wasn't a big deal. It was a revert. You didn't know, you know, like you're not meant to walk in front of people when you pray. But to me, that was a massive. I felt really unwelcome after that. I was really anxious about making a fool out of myself again. Have you had any experiences like similar to that?
Not since I took the Shahada, no. But
okay.
I did incidentally. We went to the mosque about 5 years ago.
Mm.
And the same sort of story, actually. I was walking in front of someone, and then Saqib just stops me in my tracks. And the same thing, you don't do that. And I was just embarrassed at the time. So
actually, I did a bad job there as a quote unquote. Actually, you were non-Muslim then, obviously. So
yeah,
well,
as a da'i.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of like this is before iERA. This was before the iERA days, to be honest. Mm-hmm. And what was that me and Chris were talking a lot about Islam. Seemed like he's getting really warmed up to it. And I thought, you know what? Why don't I just take Chris with me on a Friday to Jummah and see what he thinks. And he could listen to my mom give a really inspiring khutbah, inshallah, and let's do that. And then we get to the masjid, and obviously it's a Friday, it's just busy, fully packed. And then I was like, everyone's getting ready to pray. I said, I remember printing off like a prayer sheet to Chris as well, earlier on in that day at work. I said, so this is the prayer, and here it's in English, so you could understand what we're reciting whilst we're doing it and everything. So I thought, I did a bit of planning, which was good, but then it was just it's the tsunami that sort of ensued afterwards. Because I remember I'm getting ready to pray, so I was thinking, okay, I need to focus on my prayer now. And then I see Chris in the background, and then he's getting passed around, like, you know, like past the parcel sort of thing. He's getting shifted around because there's a wave of people coming in. And I was like, oh my God.
Filtering through the ranks.
Yeah. So he's just getting shifted around in the back. And I was like, hey, he'll be all right. But I'm pretty sure he didn't get the most as he should have during that experience. He should have been, I don't know, maybe he could have been put somewhere in a nicer, secure place. But it's just one of those, you know how Fridays are.
Yeah, it's Friday. You went,
yeah, we went because it was a khutbah. I wanted him to listen to the khutbah because there's no point him coming to like
just experience
like a Maghrib or an Isha. I mean, obviously there'll be the tilawil of the Quran, like the recitation of it, which is powerful in it of itself. But it's more about him actually hearing the khutbah in English and understanding the messages of Islam, and my mom actually doing it in a more of a eloquent manner than I do it. So
it's interesting actually, because I mean, how did you feel? Was that the first time you went to the masjid?
Yeah.
How did you feel that you were going to like the main event straight away? It wasn't just having a little tour. You know, when you go to see a church, historical, like, that's what they do there, and it's empty, so you can kind of feel comfortable and explore. But if it was like going into, I don't know, a service or whatever, you'd think, oh God, what's the rules here? It's probably the same for the masjid.
Yeah.
Like, how did you feel going right to the deep end, even though you weren't a Muslim or anything?
I'm always happy doing that sort of stuff.
Cool.
With anything, just jumping in the deep end. But
yeah, good.
I felt a bit like you actually just embarrassed, and then it sort of put me off going any further with it from that point.
Subhanallah.
But my experience since then has been completely opposite.
Oh, awesome.
So I was thinking people are going to say, oh, what's this idiot doing here? Like, Muslim being. But it's just like I've been taken aback by how welcoming everyone is.
Oh, mashallah.
And how at home I feel just every time. And that's something I didn't expect.
That's awesome. Wow, yeah, so that's cool. I love hearing stories like that because, like, for me, it was a mixed bag. I felt really welcome. So when you become Muslim, everyone's like taking your number, inviting you around the house and all that sort of stuff. But you also get the weird ones where the uncles won't say salam to you. And you're like, what's that? And understanding what the difference is between Islam and culture and so on. And then you get that little phase, I don't know if you've gone through this, where when you find out that thing is culture, not Islam, you get all like, no, that's culture. You get a bit arrogant, you know. I had that as well in my really early stages. I don't know. It must be the same with like newly practicing born Muslims, Saqib. Is that true?
Yeah, there is like sort of like a feeling of arrogance at times. I've noticed it with the newly practicing born Muslims when they're like, yeah, you know, they think they're better than everyone else, and they've just been practicing Islam for literally 2 minutes, and they start going back home and they start lecturing their parents, telling them,
subhanallah,
you're doing bid'ah, you're doing this, and you do. It's like you don't talk to your parents like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely a case of that with born Muslims.
I think it's a beauty. It's gone off track a bit, but I think that's the beauty of the teaching of the Prophet, peace be upon him, because he said that Islam is the middle ground. You go down the middle ground. You don't go to extremes. So it's not that you shouldn't be so arrogant with your knowledge that I know this is wrong, and then it shouldn't be the opposite where you don't want to seek knowledge. You're just comfortable where you are and so on like that. So I mean, how's your journey with seeking knowledge, and how have other Muslims helped you with that journey?
Good question. I'm always trying to learn more.
Yeah. Is it? By the way, it's okay to say I've just done this and that's it. Like, because I had a period. Sorry, I keep talking. I had a period of like not learning anything for ages because I felt quite comfortable where I was, but where I should have pushed it forward. So like, sorry. I'll carry on. How did it go with your learning journey, with learning more about Islam?
Okay. Well, it's just Saqib set me up with the basics to start with. Here's how you do wudu. Here's five prayers a day. Just get going with that.
Cool.
You got me a nice prayer mat as well, with all the recitals on it. So I know what I'm doing, at least as far as the basics go.
Yeah. I've seen that mat. It looks awesome.
Sort of where I got to, and just getting the fundamentals in place first, and then you build up slowly.
Exactly.
The inclination is to just go head first in right at the beginning. And you take on way too much. But if you start slowly and build up, then it's probably the best solution in the long run.
100%. I mean, it's really common for new Muslims to they go a bit too, they overburden themselves. So, they don't just want to learn how to pray, they want to learn all the sunnahs and want to do all the sunnahs, but you're not praying all 5 times yet. Don't calm down, mate. That happens. Did you experience that, or are you quite happy going at steady paced?
Thing is, it was a bit of a strange time when he did take his shahadah, because literally weeks after, it was lockdown.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't, because the plan was that I wanted him to build a bridge or build a connection with the masjid. Because me and Chris are friends, and it's a bit like, I did try to take it on myself, where we'd have like sort of tajweed lessons, we had a book, we'd be in the car, we'd have a meal in the car, and then afterwards we'll go through like the tajweed book for like half an hour. And it was kind of quite sporadic in terms of we weren't doing it on a weekly basis. And I think it's because of our relationship as friends. So then, alhamdulillah, literally within the past week, everything's opened up again. So on Eid day, we had a pretty good day, alhamdulillah. But on that same day, I linked him up with my imam, and they had like their first sort of tajweed lesson. And obviously they're gonna build upon that. It won't just be tajweed. It'll be like aqidah, fiqh, all the basics. Then he'll have it. The foundation's really sorted, inshallah. So that'll be the plan.
That's brilliant, and that's what a mentor is meant to do. Is get that, help the new Muslim have a foundation within the religion, and not worry about those little things. Or they're not little, but they're things that this is how I like, because I mentor new Muslims. I'm a part of a group called Dawah, and we've got like a revert group on Facebook Messenger, and there's a big, there's about 10 of us, and we take when someone takes their shahadah, we help them through their journey, and one person might be closer than the others and so on like that. And one rule we've got is, if there's a difference of opinion in anything with like fiqh or Islamic law or how you're meant to do something, if there's a difference of opinion, don't worry about it. Worry about what there isn't a difference of opinion, what's really important. So for example, there's no difference of opinion in praying 5 times a day. So let's get that down first. So if you're worried about whether your trousers are turned up, or whether using a miswak instead of a toothbrush and all that, but you're not praying your 5 times a day, it's, it can divert you. And I think that's this trick of shaitan, whisper it, like putting someone on a path where it's not the important thing you should be doing right now. So it sounds like you've had an awesome mentor experience where you've been supported all the way through, which is awesome, man. Alhamdulillah.
Personally, I'm quite self-critical, and I think I could have done a lot more, and I could have been a better mentor. I know you could easily use the lockdown as an excuse, but I think, I don't know. The thing is, I wanted to be in touch with him and check in on him, but I didn't want to be too pushy as well.
Yeah, you don't want to be a weirdo about it.
Yes, that's the thing. And like, Chris is quite the introvert, and I'm kind of like an ambivert, but comparison to Chris, I'm an extrovert, full on extrovert. But the thing is, it's just like I didn't really want to sort of be too pushy and too naggy in a way.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, have you prayed today? Like just like be pushy all the time.
Yeah.
So I'll just check in here and there. I'll share a football meme, usually dissing Tottenham, and then but it's just a case of what I could have done better as a mentor. I think communication on my part. I think I could communicate a bit better. That's one. Another thing was probably consistency. So alhamdulillah, during Ramadan we hit a good stride. So we would go pray Tarawih together in a local Islamic center, and I'm pretty sure he enjoyed it as well. And then because he was actually looking forward to it, and it was like, I think it was like halfway through, then we started going regularly. And then I got dragged away with the live appeals because, it was just a live appeal. It's one of those great things about working for a Muslim organization. But then, and then Chris ended up in Spain for work as well. And then it was just like, we kind of like missed out on the opportunity together there during Ramadan. And even during Eid as well, he did that in Spain. So he didn't really get to experience like Eid in the UK. But yeah, I think those are the 2 key areas as a mentor, and I would advise other mentors to do that as well, just to like be a bit consistent in the follow-up. But don't be, it's all about balance, right? So
100%. I mean, when I first became a Muslim, there was a lot of people took my number. So there's one guy that was a revert that I went to the masjid with. He's really nice brother, mashallah. He's awesome, but we didn't click. Like it's a beautiful thing about Islam. It gets people that wouldn't be mates normally become mates because they love their brother for what they love for themselves. You know, there's a brotherhood within Islam, but that means some people that interact with each other don't click as easy. So you have to make the effort for the sake of Allah, and you know. And what's beautiful about that is because you make that effort, a beautiful, unique friendship happens. But I wasn't used to that. You know, it was really awkward. He wasn't into the same sort of things I was, and you know, the conversation wouldn't flow well and things like that. And then I went off track, but loads of other Muslims took my number. So he was cool. He was nice and consistent. You know, like he would message me once in a while. More, I would text him and ask him questions about, what do I do with this? Is energy drink halal? You know, things like that. But there's other brothers, they would literally try and ring me every day. And they're like, brother, what are you learning now and stuff. And it got to a point where I dreaded my phone ringing because it was too much. And it was like, this is just weird. This isn't what normal people do. Like, this isn't what I'm used to.
It's like a teacher chasing you up for homework, whether or not you've done your homework or not, right?
A little bit. Sometimes it was out of goodwill and they wanted to hang out or whatever. Okay. Believe it or not, I'm an introvert as well.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I know. Like, I might be, but I quite like my own company, and I only like doing things that, like, when I fancy it and so on like that. When I'm in a social situation where I'm feeling like comfortable, I come out my shell and I'm all, you know, hyper and stuff. But normally, like, when someone rings me, I'm like, oh, all right, okay, you know. So it was really horrible. I ended up just hanging up on everyone, and I didn't really talk to many Muslims after that because it was weird. It was like I remember one person invited me round, and he didn't explain that what he wanted to do is explain how the Prophet, peace upon him, had dinner. Right? He wanted to show me that. And to do that, he invited me for breakfast, but we ate it on the floor. I didn't. What was going on, man? I come to his house and I'm eating on the floor. He served me an egg and a bit of bread, and he was like, "Right, and you got to do that." And I'm like, "What's this? What?" I've been a Muslim like less than a month, man. So I'm just eating with it and putting a bit of salt on. I was like, "Yeah, it's nice," and it was just weird. And he didn't explain what was going on. And to be honest, if we look back, it wasn't the best thing to teach a new Muslim. I mean, like I was saying, things that are obligatory are more important, like actually getting my prayers down, actually asking the new Muslim or the person that's become Muslim how it's going. Like, ask them a question. Don't tell them stuff, you know. And that's what I went through. It kind of pushed me away from the community a little bit later down the line. So yeah, you Muslims out there mentoring new Muslims, ask more open questions instead of just telling them stuff, because they might not be on that level, you know. So yeah, subhanallah. So we talked a bit about how it's been since you become a Muslim, and mashallah, it looks like you're spot on. Like, you're getting the help you need and so on like that, and you're learning the things that get you in a foundation with the religion. What's the plans for the future? How are you going to develop your religion, and have you got any challenges that you're worried about conquering?
Challenges probably, basically I just want to build up from where I am now.
Cool.
So once I think I've got the fundamentals nailed now, pretty much.
Awesome.
So just progressing on that, building any additional prayers and what have you. Challenges probably sort of not coming clean, so to say, but integrating it with my old friends basically, and making sure that's all good.
So your non-Muslim friends, you mean? Yeah. So do they know you're Muslim yet?
They don't yet. No, they might find out here. But
yeah, this is a big challenge, man. How are you going to go about that? Are they going to find you on this YouTube channel called iERA?
Probably, possibly, yeah. Inshallah, the numbers will be good.
No, but yeah, how are you going to tackle that? What your worries? What are you excited about? How are you going to go for it?
With which bit? Sorry.
Well, with telling your friends.
Telling friends.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't really considered that too much yet.
Fair enough.
I'm a bit detached at the moment.
I'm
just trying to progress on my own, with help obviously, but it's a bit daunting at this point, because it's very, as I was saying before, it's completely contrary to what they sort of believe in.
Yeah.
A lot of them are sort of atheists and scientism.
Okay.
Scientism.
Scientology.
Yeah. where the only
thing that exists is what you can see.
Yeah, the natural world.
Sense.
Yeah.
So there's that, and
So are you worried about getting challenged about your belief?
No, not really.
That's good. Mate, it's
My
strong.
belief, the belief is there. That's not an issue. It's
Alhamdulillah.
just I don't imagine they'd be too accepting of it.
Yeah.
The idea. I'm sure
I see.
you've come across that as
Yeah,
well yourself.
man. Yeah, I mean, I got some friends completely like some friends I thought were quite liberal and man, accept everyone. Suddenly now I'm Muslim, we're not accepting everyone then now, you know, and they completely cut me off, and then you find out who your friends really were. I mean, I've still got non-Muslim mates, and we get on fine, and I'm a practicing Muslim in front of them. It's fine, and we still do the things that we enjoy doing.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, because
things like
nothing should change really. You haven't changed as a person,
Yeah.
particularly. Just one aspect of your life which has changed.
Yeah, and I just feel like I've improved as a person. I've improved as a friend. Inshallah, hopefully.
Yeah, and the aim is to continue improving as Muslims and as people generally.
Exactly.
So that's all we're looking to do, really.
100%. What about family? Have you talked to family yet about it?
Yeah, my mum knows.
Cool.
That came about. I had a Muslim assistant app on my phone, get me up for Fajr in the morning, and I forgot to turn the notifications off.
Yeah.
And then there's this call to prayer.
Yeah.
Came on in the middle of the night. I think at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, subhanallah.
What is that?
Allahu Akbar. And it just woke everyone up. MashaAllah. How did it? What happened then?
Oh, and I think she said, can you just make sure that's not coming on in the middle of the night, please?
Cool. Awesome.
Pretty cool about it.
Yeah, awesome, man.
There's no issues. Just don't disrupt me.
Yeah, well, my parents were accepting as well with that. It's like, you know, as long as you're not hurting anyone, do what you want with your life sort of attitude. Yeah. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. So other steps are obviously, as Sakib mentioned, I've met the Imam now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be meeting up with him every week, hopefully, inshallah. And hopefully learn the Quran.
I suppose taking shahadah 9 months ago, like Sakib said, most of your experience as a Muslim has been on your own at lockdown. Is that right?
A lot of it, yeah.
So now it's kind of like the doors are opening. You're doing stuff that maybe a new Muslim would have done in the first or second month as a Muslim, maybe.
Yeah.
How are you finding it with the Muslim community, other than the ones you knew before you were a Muslim?
I don't think it hasn't really expanded out too much since then.
It's literally fresh. We went to the mosque on Eid day. So it's Eid Salah, and then we prayed Dawah together, and it's just building upon that.
Awesome.
But every Sunday, Sunday evening, after Asr, I'm gonna have my half an hour lesson, and then he'll have his half an hour lesson.
Yeah.
So he could sort of draw some benefits from my lesson, because alhamdulillah, you know, my recitations are like pretty good now. And what I do is I've got the translation of the Quran alongside the Arabic.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll read it in Arabic. He'll iron out a few flaws, and then I'll read to the English as well. And then we'll try to I'll ask questions about the translation, and then Chris will be there in the background just listening.
Yeah.
And then it's pretty much that.
I think you're blessed, bro. Because like I'm not moaning about my first part of the journey. I had lots of help. I think what happened is that the mentors didn't tailor that help to me, and that's why there was a bit of a rub. So I think if I could give any advice to anyone who's mentoring a new Muslim, it would be to find out about that person and actually understand them as a person and give them the information in the way they would understand. You know, Prophet peace upon him said when giving dawah, you should give dawah in the way that people understand and the language they understand, and that it just, for me, that inspires of when it's the same with mentoring. You want to mentor someone where they would digest that information comfortably and they can move on at their own speed and so on like that. So mashallah, alhamdulillah, you've had it good, man.
So you struggled initially, yeah?
Yeah, a little bit. I think did you see my reverts, like my ReRooted thing? So I didn't. I think the big problem, it wasn't just the people, it was me as well. I didn't want to be a Muslim, but I had to be because I knew it was true.
Right.
So there was this weird like rebelling in me, and obviously I was a punk before, and I was just used to rebelling all the time. So it wasn't just them, it was me as well. Like I wasn't as receptive, and I'd always go, but is that the right opinion and all that? Like I wasn't helpful yeah, so it wasn't. I wouldn't blame it on the Muslim community as a whole. But if people would have took time to get to know me as a person instead of knowing my Islamic journey, I think the help would have been more tailored to me, and that would have been good.
Definitely.
And that's why when I try and mentor someone, I really do try and get to know the person, where they are, and because what I get sometimes is just private messages. Oh, how do I deal with this? My mum's invited me for a meal next week, but it's in a pub. Like, what do I do? And instead of just going, well, actually, you shouldn't, and give him a hadith and say you can't go to the pub, like that. It would be a conversation about how do you feel about it, man? Like, what did you used to go to the pub often after that, and so on like that, and we'd have a proper conversation where I actually care about the person. It's not just I'm there to give you information. That's it. We're developing a friendship now, and I try and tailor the help to that person and where they're ready to take those big decisions. Because one person can probably cut off at something that they did before in their life. Like, no, that's haram, cut it off. Other people, it might be a journey to cut it off, and if I might have found it easy to stop going to the pub, but someone else might find it really hard to stop going to the pub, and you have to have that empathy, and empathy is a big thing with mentoring, I feel. So I think Saqib's putting himself down a bit with the mentoring. I think it sounds like you've done an awesome job.
No, he's been overly critical, I'd say.
Yeah, man, but it's good. It's a good thing to be it's good. Always ask yourself, how could I do it better next time? Or,
how could I improve? And any lessons learned on my part, how can I share it with others?
Yeah.
That's a big part of it as well.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
one of the advantages I do have is that I wasn't really practicing before, and then probably like 10 years ago, that's when I started. I had to relearn everything from scratch. So I think that's one big advantage for me, where I don't have a sort of curse of knowledge. I'm not inside this sort of bubble. Well, I don't think I like to interact with all different types of people. Yeah. And I think that does help me. That puts me at an advantage when it comes to Dawah and new Muslim support. So where was I going with this?
Well, actually, to ask you, like, how common do you think that is with born Muslims? What you've gone through, and like the amount of people that decide to practice through because they've looked into it.
I think nothing against like the Muslims who've always been practicing since day dot. But those ones who went to the madrasa and they've had the Islamic education and Islamic background, I think they're sort of them being able to relate to non-Muslims and even new Muslims. It's like chalk and cheese, to be honest. It's completely different. Yeah. Whereas myself, I've always been around different types of people, so I think I can relate better with non-Muslims and new Muslims. And then my EQ, my emotional intelligence, my empathy, I'm in a better place. Whereas the Muslim who's always been like, they've been born with a tasbih in their hand, right? I think they're in a sort of disadvantage when it does come to that, because they may think, I don't know, like, someone striving to relearn everything again or relearn everything again. It's like a case of, it's like it was given to them on a plate.
Yeah.
Whereas
they don't know the other side.
Exactly. Whereas I had to fight for it. So, for example, let's make a point of tajweed, right? Yeah. I understand the struggle of going through it, learning the basics, the abatas, right? And then I understand what Chris has to go through, especially as a not knowing the Arabic language at all, and his tongue getting used to it and his throat getting used to it. Because it's a full-on workout, man, right? On your tongue. Like, after a half an hour lesson, especially when you're first starting off, it's like, it feels like, you did like 20 press-ups with your tongue.
Yeah, because there's letters in the Arabic that we don't use in English, like qa and ayn.
Bod.
Yeah. Wow, mashallah.
Yeah, there you go. They paid off, innit? The lessons paid off.
So what would you, like, if there's, like, so people watching now, if you're that person that's kind of been raised Muslim all your life and you haven't gone... mashallah, you haven't gone into the realms of like not practicing or anything, what advice would you give those guys if they want to get involved in mentoring new Muslims?
Well, they should go on training.iERA.org. There's the initial Dawah training course, which is a prerequisite of the new Muslim mentorship course. So they do the Dawah training first with Sheikh Green, and it's the core components of the Go Rap on how to give Dawah to non-Muslims. And then after that, it's the New Muslim Mentorship course. And then once you've done that, you could actually volunteer to become a New Muslim mentor. Brilliant. And actually get involved in the Dawah, like That's the awesome. True Dawah. Because everyone thinks Dawah is, I give Dawah to a non-Muslim, they take shahadahs, latest mate, onto the next one, like a conveyor belt. But it's not that.
No.
That's when the real challenge is. And I've noticed that, like, you know, just dealing with Chris alone, you know, it's even though we haven't really gone into the thick of it yet, it's just, it's a different ball game. It's a different realm altogether.
Yeah. And
I think that's like the one area which is very, it's unrecognized. There's some really, there's some champions within the Dawah, the Dawah itself, the Dawah scene, as Musta used to say all the time.
Yeah.
And they're like the unsung heroes, mashallah. Those guys who do the New Muslim mentorship. That's where it gets really tough.
Do you know what the hardest part of Dawah, like you said, is behind the scenes?
Yeah.
You might see people at Speaker's Corner having debates, or people on the street telling people about Islam. The actual, I wouldn't say hard in a negative way. Most of the work is helping that new Muslim, you know, go down that journey and I mean, just going back to the courses. So you said that before you could be a mentor, you need to actually do the Dawah course.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. Do you know why? Because the Muslims that have always been practicing and born into it, sometimes they haven't questioned why do they believe what they believe? Because it's been given to them, you know. And I think that would be awesome because it will give them a different view of why that person became a Muslim, you know.
There's that's an element of it, and also the other element is the aspect of doing a Go Rap refresher with a new Muslim, for example.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
For example, it's like they may start asking questions, a specific question about some part of the Go Rap, really, and then you could just reinforce it and have that conversation again. Cool, so that's another element of it.
So what's the Go Rap for people that don't know?
The Go Rap is an acronym which stands for God, Oneness, Revelation, and Prophethood.
Yeah, nice one, mashallah. So you take them through that journey, don't you? You talk about the existence of a God and why that makes sense, and it all goes all the way to the Prophet, peace upon him, and why we need to accept him as the last final messenger, and why that makes sense. And that's what Muslims believe, and it's up to them to then accept it.
Yep.
Yeah, subhanallah. So yeah, that's a wrap, guys. So if you enjoyed this and you actually are inspired to get involved in the Dawah, get involved in the helping new Muslims, and if you're a new Muslim yourself and need some help with your journey, learning, education and so on, look in the description. So we've got the Go Rap method, learn how to do Dawah, you've got the new Muslim mentorship, and you've also got help for new Muslims just down below. So check it out, inshallah. Awesome. So thanks, Chris, and thanks, Saqib. And to you, everyone here, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Breaking out the cage, tell them lock the chain. Adrenaline and rage, I may never change.